All right, boys and girls. Second topic I would like for you to, go over and kind of learn over this break is solving for radical equations. Now, we know how to do some of this already with completing the square, so I thought this would be an easy one to pick up on, just showing you different scenarios that you might run into. So, first one's fairly easy. So let's see here. All right. So I have something that's square rooted. I want to solve for the x inside the square root. I need to get rid of the square root. So the opposite of square rooting is squaring something. Okay. So again, pretty straightforward. If I square square root, it goes away. So on the left side, I'm left with x plus 1. And on the right side, I'm left with 4 squared is 16. So, difficult math here, I know. Subtract 1 from both sides to solve for x. X equals 15. Look at us. Killing the game. If you plug that back in, you get 15 plus 1, and this is 16, and the square root of 16 is 4. 4 equals 4. Check. We are good to go. So again, this is the opposite of what we were doing with completing this square. We were square rooting both sides. Now we're kind of just going backwards and getting rid of that square root. So here, the next problem, we have everything on one side. So technically, if I wanted to square both sides, I'd have to square the entire side and the other side. But that's just silly because now I have this binomial I have to multiply out. I don't want to do that. And even if I do that, I think I'm going to be left with more square roots. So you want to isolate the square root so it's all by itself. So to do that, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And again, you can clearly see here that the negative 3 is not underneath the square root. So I could do this. Then I get 5 minus x equals 3. Then I'm right back where I started with the last problem. I got to get rid of the square root, so I have to square both sides. I'm left with 5 minus x equals 9. Subtract 5 from both sides. Negative x equals 4. So therefore, x equals negative 4. It's my answer. Plug that back in. Negative 4. So 5 minus negative 4. 2 negatives make a positive. 5 plus 4 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 equals 3. And we are wonderful. So, what does this look like as a graph? So, let's go over that here. Should I do that now? Let's see. Let's see if I could do this. So remember, both of these are like different graphs, okay? This graph, x plus 1, would look like this. Here, let me math it. Perfect. Select action, graph in 2D. Wonderful. Zoom out here a little bit. Okay. Let's see if I can now insert it. Insert a page. Perfect. Right there. Wonderful. Okay. So that is the graph x plus 1. Now this one here, remember, this is y equals. So my y equals 4. So let's see, we're going up by 10, so 2, 4. So the line y equals 4 is right here. So if I kept going, this graph would cross over here somewhere at x equals 15. So that's what it looks like graphically. Remember, when we're solving for something like this, we're solving where these two lines intersect. And that's where those two lines intersect. Now, it might complicate things a little bit more now, but hopefully this will help with these next problems. Okay, so here we go. Same idea, same scenario. I have a square root. I have variables I need to solve for, and they're inside the square root. So to get rid of it, square both sides. Bam, gone. 2t plus 15 equals t squared. Okay, now people get here and they freak out. There's too many t's. They're on different sides. What am I supposed to do? Whenever you see something squared, right away in your mind, you're thinking, okay, this means I'm going to have two answers. There's ways to solve for things that will give me two answers. Quadratic formula, completing the square, all these fancy things. But the first thing you should try to do is factor. Before you do any of that, I suggest you get everything on one side. So if I subtract 2t and subtract 15 from both sides, I will get this. Now that it's set up so it equals 0, I can then either factor, complete the square, or quadratic formula. But you have to set it up like this. Common mistake is students try to do this. Please do not do this. They'll have 2t plus 15. They'll have it equals t squared. And then now they just got rid of the square root. So now they'll try to square root both sides again. And then try to give me some number out of here. Don't do this. You just undid that. Why would you put it back? It just doesn't make sense. So from here, we're going to factor. And again, you have to know how to factor. So this would be what multiplies here and adds for here. So boom, boom. This would be what? Minus 5 plus 3. Solve for t in both cases. T equal t plus 3 equals 0. Add 5. So t equals 5, and t equals negative 3. Boom. Okay. Well done. Only thing is, this has two answers. But one of them actually doesn't work. So let's see. Let's plug these in. So 2 times 5 plus 15 equals t, which is 5. So this is what I plugged in. So this would be 10 plus 15, and this would be 25 equals 5. 5 equals 5. Check. That one works. The next one. 2 times negative 3 plus 15 equals negative 3. Square root. Okay. Red flag. If I square root something, it will never equal a negative. So negative 3 is your extraneous solution. That's how you spell it. Solution. Extra. It's your extra solution. Doesn't work. The only one that works is this one. This one does not. So why does that happen? Why does it give you two answers? I'll show you, and hopefully this makes sense. I'm going to erase this problem here because I don't think I have enough time to do it. It's the same concept as what I'm doing now. So, all right. Now let me, just like before, I'm going to math both equations. Let's see if it'll let me do it on one graph. Actually, I don't have to do it on one graph. I'll just do this one. Actually, to make it easier, I'll make this x. So hopefully it reads it better. Math. Oh wait, this needs to be a square root. Sorry. Square root. Let's try it again. Math. Perfect. Graph in 2D. Wonderful. Okay, let's zoom out here a little bit. Awesome. Okay, now let's insert this on page, and hopefully this will help me explain it. Can I drag this with my finger? Yes, I can. Perfect. Okay, so this right here is this graph. This is the square root of 2x plus 15. Now, remember what we did the problem before. We graphed the left side, and then this green line would be the right side. That was the line y equals 4. So now, this is the line y equals t, or basically y equals x. And we know what that line looks like. That line goes like this. So this is the line y equals x. So here's our first solution, y equals 5. This is the one that works. Perfect. That's where that one comes from. Now the next one, -3, is here. Let's see, let's make this purple. So that's here. Why is it there? I'm a little bit confused. There's no graph there. Why is it giving me an answer if there's no graph there? Well, don't forget that our square root function is really half of that parabola, because it's the inverse, but it's only the top half. So you're getting this solution even though it doesn't exist. So at times, you're going to get two solutions when the graph passes through the square root graph at what it looks like to be two separate points. But if you get two solutions, you have to check to see if they work. Most cases, you will get one that is an extra solution that does not work. That's called your extraneous solution. So, to quickly recap, square rooting. So solving for square roots. You have to get the square root on one side, everything else on the other. If you have two square roots, get them both on separate sides. Once you do that, you can square both sides to get rid of your square roots. Then you solve for x as you would in Algebra 1. Down here, if you square both sides and you end up with a variable that's squared, that should send off a red flag that you are going to have to factor or use the quadratic formula at some point to solve for the two solutions you're going to get. You will get two solutions if you will have or end up with something that's squared like we did right here. When you do that, you will then have to check your answers to see if they work. Most cases, you will have an extra solution called an extraneous solution. You will have to check to make sure which one is the extraneous. And then that will be it. All right, those were the two topics. Sorry the videos were a little lengthy. I want to make sure that I covered everything I wanted to. Again, I will attach practice problems, and there will be practice problems on your review for your test. So if you have any questions, you could definitely ask me next week before the test. All right, I hope that's it. Hopefully I won't bother you for the rest of vacation, and see you guys when we get back.